Hey, Core 13 Youth, you guys have some awesome stories. Last week, I loved hearing your stories, and I've heard more since the video last week. Today, I have 2 more stories for you. The first one's going to come from Gus. You know, sub to Bub, Gus the Bubble Master, the source of the Core 13 news. He has made up a story for us, or put together a story for us, and you're going to get to see that one today. The second story comes from Kate, who is not currently one of the youth in attendance at youth group because she graduated just recently. However, I think her story is awesome. She has a great story to share, and I think you'll all really appreciate it. So let's get into the stories, and I hope you guys really enjoy them.
Hello, I'm Gus Forth, and today I'm going to be reading my story, the story of the grebe. So, the grebe is an Arctic bird. They are naturally very aquatic animals. They don't actually have feet that they can really walk on. One day this little grebe said, "I'm gonna go to Alberta!" And so he did. But when he got there, he had a big shock.
What have I done?
He couldn't manage. He was about to get attacked by vicious dogs, but luckily, our family saved him. We brought him in, rescued him, just kind of nourished him, and then we sent him off to the animal shelter. But that's my story from an Arctic bird wound up in my backyard.
Hello.
Hello, Kate.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Very good.
Good. You're home. You made it back from California in one piece.
I did.
That's good. So I've got you on speakerphone with a microphone here that's going to record our conversation.
All right.
And I'd just love to hear what led up to taking your horses to the hospital and kind of how did that go? I'd love to hear about it.
Okay, perfect. So the idea first came, I guess, is Andrew Pohl texted me and just asking me if I would be willing to do horses long-term with Asquin because his sister Katrina works in recreation there. And she was just asking just because the residents in there are cooped up in their rooms and they don't get to leave very much, so she thought it'd be a nice thing for them to see something different.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
so how did it actually go when you brought the horses and everything? How did that?
Yeah, so I actually just brought one horse. Just he would be the best with walking close to the windows and everything. I started, went to every window that had somebody staying in it, and so Katrina was walking outside with me, and then they had another staff member inside to make sure that the people inside were watching, so I would just bring my horse right up to the window, and they would get to put their hand on the window, and he would try and sniff their hand, and yeah.
Wow, that sounds really cool.
It was super, super cool. And lots of them, if I could hear them through the windows, they would tell me that used to have horses when they were younger, or a couple of them asked if they could come outside and ride him. And but it was super cool just to see how happy they were being able to see him, because he's a very pretty horse too, so.
That's nice. So from this, did you learn anything new, or did anything interesting happen that you want to share with the youth group and the young adults?
I wouldn't say I learned anything new, but it was definitely a cool experience to just be the source of joy, I guess, that they get to see in this. It's probably a super hard time for them not being able to have any visitors, so nice to have anybody come, and I enjoyed it because I could see them too, so I was waving at them. A couple took his picture from inside, and one lady, I saw her a couple times in her wheelchair following me window to window because she just didn't want to leave. Yeah, and it was super cool, especially if I could hear them through doors or windows and just get a chance to talk to them.
That's incredible. It's so cool that you had an opportunity to bring joy and a smile onto some people's faces who have been going through a hard time.
For sure, for sure.
Well, right on. Thanks for telling us about that, Kate. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up this interview?
I just say that if anybody is asked to do something for people who don't get the chance to see or visit or anything like that, to just jump at chances like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it could bring a joyful day to anybody. So, yeah.
Totally. I think one of the challenges of our social distancing push that we're having right now is we almost become self-absorbed. Like, I don't want to risk going out and interacting with anyone because what if they have an illness?
Yeah.
And there almost needs to be a point where we go, yeah, there's caution needed, but if someone needs care, can we still give care somehow? So that's really cool. And it could be something simple like taking a horse to a clinic or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And that's fantastic.
And I'm actually going back next week too. So she wants me every couple weeks until they can get out and do more things. So I'll have plenty of opportunities to do that for them.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, I think that's super cool. I'm really glad you're doing that. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you out. But that sounds fantastic. And what an encouragement for those people, but also for the rest of us to say, yeah, there's some way that we can still be helpful and still bring joy.
Exactly.
And that's so good.
Yeah, it was. It was and it was totally out of the blue. And I just got out of my 2-week quarantine when Andrew Pohl texted me, so I was like, for sure, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I guess you just got back from California, so you had to wait those 2 weeks. Well, that's good. Well, thanks so much, Kate, for telling us about that. And
no problem.
I look forward to hearing more about it, and I hope it goes well. Yes. We'll be praying for you as you continue to go back each week. That's fantastic. Okay, well, thanks for chatting with me, and I guess we'll talk to you later.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Okay, bye, Kate.
Bye.
Wow, all right. Totally awesome to hear those two stories. Loved them both. So good. Man, I just want to end with encouraging you guys to make bringing joy into this difficult time a big part of our priority. It's important. I would recommend doing things like maybe calling a friend and sharing a word of encouragement, hearing what's going on in their life. Think about how the other people are feeling around you. As much as you might be struggling, others are probably struggling too. It is so high value for us to bring joy and encouragement and hope and love into this challenging time. Youth, I want to encourage you guys to remain faithful and strong in what you believe. You know that God loves you, that He's in control, and that He looks over you. Even in this time that's hard and difficult, in this moment of isolation, it can be hard to remember that stuff, but God is there and He loves you and He cares about you. There's characters in the Bible like Noah and Gideon and David, the King David, Peter, Jesus' disciple. All of them, when they were in moments of isolation, separated from their group, from their trusted people, from their advisors, they struggled. And in all of their cases, they failed in some way. Noah made a vineyard and produced wine and got drunk after the flood event had happened. And he did that when he was alone. There was no other people around. His family was off establishing new society, and he decided to build a vineyard. When all the other kings went out to war, King David stayed home on his own in his palace, and there he went up to the roof and he spotted Bathsheba bathing. And in that moment he was filled with lust, and he had an affair, and then killed her husband, and just a mess. And he was punished for it later. But man, like in the moment of isolation, he gave in to temptation and sin, and it was a mess. Peter, Jesus' disciple, one of the most fervent of the disciples, always ready to fight and defend Jesus, the first to call him Messiah. Like, he seems to be the guy who gets it. And in the evening where Jesus is on trial, mostly illegally, Peter separates himself from the other disciples and tries to hear what's going on in town and in around the courts. And as he's separated from the other disciples, he gets asked, "Hey, you're a Galilean. Don't you know this Jesus guy?" And he says, "No, I don't know him. I've never met him." When he's separated from the disciples and separated from Jesus in this moment where he's isolated and gets challenged, he gave in and he betrayed Jesus. He forgot Jesus. He went back on his convictions. Guys, you might be struggling in all this time of self-isolation and social distancing. You might be struggling with some of your faith and those questions. You know, is God really there? Does he really love me? Do I really have value? What's my life really about? Those are good questions to be asking. Good questions. I encourage those questions. Seek out, what does Christ have to say on this topic? Is God less loving because we're isolated? Is God less loving because life is hard right now? Consider James chapter 1. Count it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, knowing that the testing of your faith brings perseverance. Perseverance must complete its work in us, so that we might be mature and complete and lack nothing. Oh, what an opportunity we have in the midst of suffering and hardship and difficulty to develop maturity. See, now I'm preaching. Okay, let's stop preaching. I'd encourage you guys, in the midst of this difficult time, that as these hard questions raise, as you find yourself in isolation, remain faithful. Turn to Christ. Trust in him. All right, guys, this was a super great time having 2 stories and a little bit of a mini sermon, sorry. And I hope to hear from you all at some point over the next couple of weeks. And look forward to another Bible study. Hopefully Friday night I'll have a Bible study out from James to follow in our series. So I'll see you guys then, and stay safe.